Hey, Composing Gloves here, and today we are going to do another harmony video. This time, wow, that was kind of weird. This time we're going into augmented and diminished chords. So we've learned about, major and minor. Now we're going to learn about augmented and diminished. They are chords that are not used as often, but you will begin to see their use more and more, especially as you get more advanced and we get into like sevenths and stuff. So these are also triads, so they're 3-note chords, and you build them very similarly to triads. So we remember that a major chord could be viewed a couple different ways. We could view it as a major chord could be a major third plus a minor third, or it could be a major third, a major third plus a perfect fifth. And now these are stacked. So these ones are stacked. Whoa. And these ones are relative to root. So you would look at the root note and make a major third from there, and the root note and look at a perfect fifth from there. And then you would look at a major third, and then so from that spot on the major third, you would make a minor third. And then, of course, a minor third, simply you switch these, so then it'd be a minor third plus a major third, and this one would be a minor third. So now let's talk about, this is a major, let's talk about diminished. So diminished formula, how do you make a diminished chord? A diminished chord can be viewed similarly. So a diminished chord is a minor third plus a minor third when stacked. However, if we're referencing the root, so we want to look at the root and determine what it is. Both are good. I tend to do the stacked one. Well, I tend to do this one actually, now that I think about it. But anyways, that is a minor third plus a diminished fifth. Thus, diminished. We've lowered the fifth a half step. We are using the tritone. So that is diminished. And we're also covering augmented chords. So diminished, like we're lowering things. We've lowered them. And then you have augmented, which in music, it generally means the opposite of diminished, which is to grow. We can take, there's these things called, there's like augmented melodic composition where you take motifs and expand them. And so you take something small and use it to make something big. We've augmented it. We've made it larger. And then diminished is generally referenced when, you're getting softer, like diminuendo, get softer, stuff like that. So augmented, diminished, generally smaller and larger. You'll see it just come up as stuff in music. So augmented is the opposite, right? We've dealt with minor thirds. What's the only other combo? Well, that would be a major third, plus a major third. Or in this case, it would be a major third plus a augmented fifth, which is again, we talked about augmented fifth. So we're raising the fifth a half step. So it's like a messed up major chord, and diminished is like a messed up minor chord. So the way I usually go about making these, if I can't think of it right off the bat, is I will make a major or a minor chord, and then I will simply change it to fit the diminished or augmented scheme. So let's say, for example, let's do the easiest one we know. Let's make a C diminished, and then we'll make a C augmented. So to do this, first, I will construct a C major chord. So there is C major. And so to make it diminished, it must be a minor third and a minor third. Now, we make the major chord first. Generally, okay, so we can get weird with key signatures and stuff. It's not as rigid as like intervals and things until you're working in a key. But usually you will make your changes from whatever the major chord was. So in harmonics, when we're talking about inharmonics and correct inharmonics, it's a pretty safe bet to stick with major chords. In the exercises I'm going to give you, you'll see like double flats and stuff. And you might have written like weird other things that would sort of make sense. But right now we're sticking, remember, to if it's C, the lowest note has to be C, and we just build the two notes on top. So I expect your inharmonics to be like that. You'll get the right inharmonics using this. But again, it's like complicated as we get further. The further we go, the less simple it is, right? That makes sense. So now we're going to make a diminished. So we're going to make this, right now it's a major third and a perfect fifth. And so now we're going to make it a minor third and a diminished fifth. So to get the diminished sound, we're going to go C, and we have to lower it a half step. And when we do this, we've now made, if we were to leave the G there, this would be a minor third, but this would be a major third. So this wouldn't fly. It would not be a minor third on a minor third. And it would also be a perfect fifth, right? So we have to diminish our fifth. And now this is the sound of a glorious diminished chord. So we have major, diminished, and then of course our last one is augmented, right? So we make our major chord, and then we say, okay, major third plus a major third. Whoa, I put a 4 there. That should be a 3. We put a 3, and now we put augmented fifth. So we say, oh, the fifth is raised a half step. This is what a fifth sounds, augmented chord sounds like. So C augmented. And there you have it. So we have the major, diminished, augmented, and heck, just for the fun of it, we'll put the minor chord here as well. So we lower the third, and there we have the minor chord. So if we were to label these, Control K, this would be a C, just a C chord, and then this would be a C diminished, which there's a way to get the little circle. I think it's a 0. No, that's half diminished. We don't want half diminished. There's a way to do the circle. I just forgot it though. So we'll just put dim, and then here we'll have C, and this is augmented, which you do by the plus sign. And then this is C minor. We put mine. C minor. There you go. And there you have it. We have our variations, and they sound like this. I'm not used to hearing them in that order. So when I was learning piano, one of my instructors, this guy was awesome. He was an amazing piano player, and I convinced him to give me a couple lessons. I try to grab what I can, right? So what he had me do, because I wanted to improvise, was in order to learn my chords, and it made me super fast at chords, was I'd have to play the chord, but I'd have to play every inversion. We haven't talked about inversions yet, but I'd have to go like this with 3 fingers. And I would do that all the way up the keyboard and all the way back down the keyboard at some tempo. Then I would have to play them as broken chords. Whoops. And then I'd have to come back down, and so on and so forth. So that was an exercise. And then I had to do it. That was the major chord. Then I had to do the minor chord. And then I had to do the diminished. And then I had to do the augmented, right? So there's a tiny keyboard, you know, when you're at a piano, I don't know what it is. It's just a different deal. But you get the idea. And that just made me memorize stuff really fast. So if you really want to learn this stuff, that's an exercise I totally recommend. And you'd have to do the broken for every single one too. And then it came in like mega handy when I was like playing Beethoven stuff, because Beethoven like straight up does that. Look at Rage Over the Lost Penny. There's this insane part where it's like it's all broken chords just running down. Now he uses octaves and stuff, so there's 4 notes, but it's like the same thing. Or Moonlight Sonata, the 3rd movement. This stuff is in music everywhere. So that was a very valuable exercise and a great way to memorize it. So let's go ahead and build another chord. And so let's build like the D diminished chord. So we'll put D minor, because it's easier to get to diminished if we just build a minor chord. So here's a minor chord, and it's already a minor third. So what I have to do is lower the 5th a half step. Now we have a D diminished chord. Let's say they said build a, okay, let's say they said build a B augmented chord, right? So we go to, what number did I just push? 7. We put down a B. We'll put it in the staff. So B, we put in our 2 notes, and then we say, okay, we're going to make it major first. So to make it major, this F has to be sharp. Whoops, my bad, in the D. And then we want to make it augmented. So this F, this is where I said some of you guys might write a G if you played it on here, because you'd be like, oh yeah. You'll play it and you'll be like, oh, that's a G, so I'm going to put a G. But not so. You will raise this a half step, because otherwise it's not a 5th. So that's why I encourage you to put it like this. I guess this is a really solid way of doing it. I just hadn't thought it through all the way quite yet. So now we're going to put a double sharp on the G, and this is correct. If you were to put a G natural, that would be wrong. So, or on the F, I mean. Man, I hope you followed that. So there you have the And if we were to like label this, we'd put Control K. Oh, no single note is selected. And we'd put a B augmented because we put it down. It's a fifth. We've raised it. So it's a pretty simple thing. It's just a formula that you just need to know. And that's how you build the chords. So that's that. There will be a chord building exercise and a chord identification exercise and a little composition exercise more than likely as well. If you have any questions about augmented, diminished, right now we're just trying to build them. We'll see the applications of these things later because it'll make way more sense with a couple other things. But if you can't build chords, you can't talk about those things. So we got to be able to build chords. Try that piano exercise, especially if you don't play piano, because you have to think harder. And it's a beginning level exercise anyway. So learn it, develop some finger dexterity and stuff. And that's that. If you have any questions, let me know. Subscribe and have a blessed day.